Welcome back to Unsolicited Shenanigans, our pre-show shenanigans.
Here we are. Cat's having allergies.
I am having the worst allergies today. But that's how it goes sometimes.
But that's how shenanigans begin?
Mm-hmm.
Question mark?
Yeah.
With allergies.
Where do allergies end and shenanigans begin? A poet said that once.
Which one?
The poet.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Damn. That's some real wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm losing it.
So, before Alan laughs at what was not a joke, it's true, take it seriously. Take our podcast seriously.
Oh.
Don't. We're gonna move on to talking about reviews. Last week we did our giving reviews thing. This week we're doing our receiving reviews thing. And we're gonna talk about reviews. I figured for our pre-show we would just talk about like the best and or worst reviews.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just have kind of like a story telling session.
Oh shit.
About reviews.
We get to
critiques.
Enlighten everyone on our creative process.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're gonna steal it.
Yep.
All two people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
So I think one of the most enlightening / funniest reviews that I've ever received was for, and I know we've talked about, one day I'm just gonna snap and we're just gonna start reading my Game of Thrones fanfiction on the podcast. Because we talked about this so many episodes ago. I know I brought this up, but I wrote this dumb story, this ridiculously terrible story.
Was this the Western?
That I wrote. Yeah, I wrote a Western Game of Thrones fanfiction, and like you do,
I wrote my not giving any context.
My
for
Westernos fanfiction, because we've talked about it on the podcast. Everyone remembers every episode of our podcast, I'm sure. No, yeah. So I wrote this like dumb piece, and I wanted it to be bad. I gave up so soon on it being a good thing that it was like, well, if it's not going to be great, I might as well take it the other way, because I was doing it for a contest, and it was like, at least if it's like terrible, people are going to remember it, which so they did not.
Oh.
But so yeah, I wrote this like really I'm going to call it satire, although I think that might be a little bit too intelligent for what was actually happening on the page. But I redid one of my favorite scenes. That's not correct. One of the most memorable scenes of Game of Thrones, and I presented it as a Western. And I got a single review for the contest that we were doing. We had to submit like a book with all of our entries in it. And the entire collection got one review for that story specifically. And it was a 5-star review. And I don't know, they did not comment on any of the Western elements or any of the... I spent like over half of the piece just making up fake Western insults that didn't make any sense. Because I got like yellow-bellied in there, and then that was the only one I could think of. So I just started like throwing random adjectives in there and making up words. And they didn't comment on any of that. But they wrote to me, and they were like, I think that this piece, I really liked it because of the emotion behind it, which I thought was kind of a joke at first, but then they were like, the way that you had outlined all of the way that you did the exposition, gave me context that I hadn't picked up on in the show. And it was like, because if you only watch Game of Thrones one time and you sit through the Red Wedding, there's like a lot of nuances that get just entirely lost, because you're focused on like the stabbing and the murder.
Right, there's a lot of stabbing and murder.
Someone was like, and I never really understood like the nuances of why the Freys were just like flat out murdering a bunch of Starks right there. Like they hadn't, so it was like, it was one of those dumb things, but it was like, I think about that review all the time, because it's like, first of all, because I thought it was a joke the first time that I read it, because no one should have given this piece 5 stars under any circumstances. But I think about it a lot because, like, it was a good review. For whatever else it was, because the best thing sometimes is the way that you provide context for stuff, and that was, I hadn't expected to explain Game of Thrones to anyone when I did this, but, like, as a storyteller, my natural instinct was to explain the nuances behind what was going on. And so it was like, when you peel all of the aesthetic and the ridiculous stuff off of something at its core, it was the story of the Red Wedding, which is a good story, and that spoke to someone. And the review let me understand all of that through all of the other ridiculousness of the situation. And I think, like, it was for, like, a dumb crossover fan fiction piece, but I think it's like one of the best reviews that I've ever gotten. And I think that's what a review should do. That's like what a helpful review does, is it like cuts through all of the like superficial elements of something, and it's like, this is, you know, where I'm coming from and why I think the story worked or didn't work. Mm-hmm. And it was really nice that they didn't comment on any of, like, I had some of the dumbest phrases in there.
You haven't even let me see this.
It's bad.
You never let me see this.
It's really horrible. And yeah, like, one day we're just gonna give up and read it on the podcast, I think, because it's objectively bad.
Objectively pretty bad. But it had some great nuances behind it.
It had some great, because it's a very nuanced scene, and I don't think, it's weird to say that about something that's so over-the-top gory, is that it had nuances, but, like, there were a lot of smaller details that get kind of lost that lead up to the, because, you know, there's that whole thing with Edmure Tully taking the mill,
right,
that no one asked him to take, and he had to disregard orders to take it, and it cost them the war, like, already. Like, the war had been lost because Edmure Tully wanted to take a stone mill instead of waiting for the mountain to come in, and he was like, I'll help however I can, I'll make this up to you somehow. And then that's why he gets married, is because Robb is able to be like, hey, you know, you owe me this for the mill. You know, and it's just like, there's like a lot of stuff, and I don't know why I was talking about that in a Western, because it doesn't make any sense. But
y'all done took the mill without me asking you to. Done cost us the war, y'all.
Yeah. Alan gets the spirit of my Westerns.
I like Westerns.
It's good.
I mean, I don't like Westerns. I'm gonna be honest,
I like really get the spirit of my story.
I have my McCree pillow right here. I like cowboys.
There you go. That's the same.
Listen, it's fine. I just think cowboys are cute. They have funny accents. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's my favorite review, I think.
I'm trying to think. I know I have a review that I was like super discouraging. I had one of my classes in New York was, I don't know if I ever told you about this professor, but I mean, like, he was like a real, like, he did like a lot of dark realistic art sort of stuff, so he definitely had like his style. He had opinions about things that didn't follow that style. And me being more anime-based artist, was in that in the not so good category. But anyway, so we had to do like 5-panel comics. And so what I was doing is I was working from the Burnout City story. I was doing something with Icarus, who is the son of a mob boss. And it was sort of like, it was supposed to sort of be like his introduction scene, where it shows that even though he's like 16 or so, he's just as ruthless as his mother was. So it's sort of, it wasn't a very action focused scene, even though in the backstory I gave his entire backstory, because his whole thing is, going after the vigilante that killed his mom, but I didn't do anything with that because I wanted to focus more on doing the character build up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And my teacher went to critique it, and he just fucking laid into me about not going for the more action-oriented thing, and I remember I was, like, so discouraged, but then, like, my other classmates came in and were like, well, I mean, it's still, like, I like it, because, like, it does sort of have it has a very character-establishing feel to it, and so, like, most of my classmates liked it, and I was like, thanks, guys. I'm glad somebody liked it. Oh god, I was like gonna cry. I was like so like discouraged when he started laying into me.
Yeah.
And that was when I really embraced the fact that you're not gonna please everyone with your art, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah. And that's a good example of like a good that's like a good don't do this story, especially like if we talked a little bit last week about how just like you need to consider the creator when deciding how hard to lay into someone, but it's like especially if you're in a position where you're instructing people and you have people who count on you to inform them, you might want to just not.
Well, it was so funny because, so I had that instructor who was, like, very opinionated and very much, like, Western style is better than Eastern style. And same semester. So that was my, like, seminar course. And then for my lab course, we just had, like, the chillest fucking instructor who was like, just let yourself go. Do whatever you want. Do what feels right. Like, much more of the artist type you would expect. Like, not stingy at all, just really loose, probably smoking a lot of drugs, gonna be honest, but he was cool. And it was just like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other memorable reviews? Are you looking up?
I was gonna see if I could find, there was one that I was gonna take into account just because it goes with what we're gonna be talking about today on the podcast, but I'm having trouble finding it because I have like 10 pages of reviews. Is that I got so excited I thought that was the Western review for a second.
That's what I thought too.
I saw the word Stark and I got excited, but as it turns out I talk about Starks all the time. So
Kat's always just writing Game of Thrones fanfiction.
I'm always writing. I gave William Game of Thrones fanfiction for his birthday. Anyway.
Fuck! I should give William something for his birthday. Happy birthday, William!
I'm sorry about the Game of Thrones fanfiction.
I don't think you are.
I'm never sorry about that. I'm always a little bit sorry, but also not at all. If I could give everyone Game of Thrones fanfiction every day,
Where's my Game of Thrones fanfiction, Kat, huh?
I've got a Western for you.
That's not for me. That's a special, Kat. You shared that with the world.
No, but one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is, like, how much weight it's appropriate to put behind the feedback that you receive. And there was a review that I was going to try to find and read, that I would have had to look up beforehand. But I got this review, and it was on one of my highest rated pieces, and I was really proud of how it came out, and it was abstract fantasy, so it was something that I was not really confident in, and then the reception was really good. I was getting a lot of 4.5, 5-star feedback pieces on it, and it's I was feeling really good about myself. And then I got this 3-star review, and it was and that's not terrible, but I had I was writing that high of nice ratings, and I got this 3-star review, and it was well, that's, and I kind of prepared myself because you see the stars first, and it was there's gonna be something wrong with it that someone's finally gonna point out, and it's gonna suck, but I'm gonna get better, and it's gonna be okay. And then the review made no sense. It started out where it was kind of I liked the characters, but the situation seemed convoluted, and I'm okay. And then they're and here's an example, and it just the sentences just got so broken up and confusing that I just and it was it was a 2,000 word review. It was not a short thing, and it made and it devolved. It spiraled out so hard, and it was and by the time I was done, it's I'm not sure that this was about me at all, honestly. But yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's I think one of the worst reviews that I've ever gotten.
Because it was just madness?
Because it left me so confused. It was disheartening and confusing. Because usually if a review is disheartening, at least you learn here's what I can do better, or here's something that I need to be wary of in the future. But it's very rare that you get disheartened and
nothing.
And nothing out of it. So yeah, I was
that's so true.
I think my best and worst review.
I'm trying to think. Because I'm trying to think what my best reviewed thing is. And it's hard because I haven't gotten a lot of review since, I've been out of school. And even through doing online school, you don't get quite as much critique, or it doesn't feel as big, but what I do remember is it wasn't necessarily, I was having a midterm review, almost, so it wasn't really on a specific project, but it was sort of on projects overall, and this goes back to my first year in art school, where little baby Alan has no idea what little baby Alan is doing. And so it's my second semester in art school, and I'm with this amazing instructor who's done all these professional movie posters and big iconic images, and it's he was a real cool dude. But one of the things about my class is most people were doing a very realistic style of work, which comes back to the whole Western versus Eastern versus cartoon versus realism debate in art that there's a bit debate for some reason. But anyway, so I was going through class, and I was really getting disheartened because I felt I was at such a low skill level compared to everybody else, and I didn't feel I was pushing for enough Western stuff in my art, because that's sort of the feeling I had been getting from everyone in school. So I was talking to my instructor about it, and I was and he was do you have anything that's concerning you? And I was well, I don't really feel my work has been realistic enough. And he stopped me, and he was okay, but do you want it to be realistic? And I was well, no, not really. And he was then don't care about it. Forget about that.
Yeah.
If that's not the style you're going for, that's not your style. Instead, you should just push for what you're going for. And it was just it was really the first time I felt really encouraged to move forward with doing stuff, Because, I mean, even before I left to go to art school, like, I felt really discouraged about doing it. Like, I never felt like my art was good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, like, after that moment, I was like, my art is good enough. I just need to keep pushing it until I'm the best at what I want to be doing. So that's always one of the things that's really stuck with me was that conversation. I was supposed to keep in contact with him, but I'm garbage at doing that, and I feel bad.
No.
But no, I think that's one of my best, not reviews, but like feedbacks I've ever gotten on my stuff. And it was pretty great. He was a cool dude. Thumbs up.
And it's good sometimes just to like talk stuff out also.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's
about it for shenanigans.
Yeah, for like our talking line. It's not a circle. We don't have enough people. It's a line.
It's a line. It's a wave at best.
Our talking wave.
Our talking wave. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been Shenanigans. We'll see you. My voice is going.
Oh, God.
Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
We should do an ASMR video someday.
Oh, ASMR.
But not today.
No, we're talking about reviews.
Now we're gonna click the link to the next video. Goodbye, you guys.